inspired you to join the military, to join the Marines?
I initially joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. I felt like I had a calling to serve my country, to do what is right. I never really felt like a strong need to go to college until more recently, after I got out. But back then, I felt like I needed to do something more as a young adult to serve my country and be part of something bigger than myself. To see the world, get experiences through life, I mean, you really mature a lot within 4 years of joining any military service.
So understand that you were deployed to Afghanistan. You were deployed to several other places too, Korea?
Yeah, to Korea, Philippines, Okinawa. I was on a ship called the USS Essex, and we toured around different places, just keeping security throughout the Pacific, Southern Pacific, and there were threats, like in the Philippines, there's the New People's Army, who's extreme Muslims, who are a threat. Usually Special Forces takes care of them more than us, but they were literally maybe a few hundred meters outside of our camp, but we didn't engage in anything out there. It was more just keeping the security. In Afghanistan, I flew over for about 8 months in 2010. That was a totally different experience for me. I mean, going into a combat environment, it changes your lives, changes the way you look at things, and we were basically given bare minimums: water, food, ammo, band-aids, things that you need in combat. Sometimes we ran out and we'd have to make resupplies, but that just depends on if you're able to. The biggest threat over there for us were IEDs, improvised explosive devices, which killed a lot of people, civilians, military personnel. So doing our census patrol, so we would go out and talk to the local people. We'd also look for IEDs and help them out, because we didn't want to let them get blown up. I mean, they're just innocent people. They didn't deserve to die. So that was a lot of big part took place, and besides fighting the Taliban. And the people over there, when we first went to our initial area, there was no one there besides the Taliban. It took us about 3 months to push them further south from where we were to actually telling people, come back, it's okay to come back to where you live. The Taliban doesn't live here anymore. And slowly but surely they came back, and that's when, after all the fighting stopped for a few months, that's when all the people started coming back, and it was kind of peaceful for a few months. But when they started using IEDs, and there's firefights here and there, but our main job was to keep the people safe. That's how I looked at it. Yeah.
What was it like living with the Arab culture or the Middle Eastern culture, the culture clash, like the language barriers, communicating? Was that very difficult, or you guys find out you guys had interpreters? Or
we had a few interpreters. They spoke Pashto, Farsi, some spoke Arabic, but the majority of the language used down there is Pashtun. It's the tribal culture they had. It was fairly easy to pick up. I can't speak it fluently, but we learned, and we learned how to communicate with some of the people there, and our Terps helped out a lot. It was a big culture shock, because down there where we were, they had no electricity. They were just it was a rural area, so they were farming. A lot of them didn't have cars. A lot of them had just little bikes that they had. Most of all the houses were mud huts, pretty much, and that's how they lived. I mean, women wore full veils so you can't see them. Children were pretty friendly to us. After they first came back, they were pretty friendly to us because they knew we were there to help them out. Some of the older Afghanis were a little skeptical about us because they remember the Russians when the Russians first invaded, and they thought we were going to be like them. But by the end of the deployment, they realized that we were there to help them. And even though sometimes some of the local population, they got injured due to IEDs, or they ran in the middle of firefights, which was out of our control, we tried our best to help them with medical supplies, helping them improve their area, giving them money, helping them build bridges, just helping them improve their daily lives so that they could live a little better and more in comfort, and all in all to help them trust their local government more so that they can grow as a nation.
It's really good. What was the weather like when you were deployed to Afghanistan? You were deployed for 8 months, you said? What was it like? Was it anything you ever imagined, or?
I knew it was going to be hot. I thought it was going to be more of a dry heat. So kind of imagine if anyone's ever been in dry heat, so like Arizona or Las Vegas, where it's just really hot but it's dry, and then the shade is not that bad. But when we were there, we didn't know that they were constantly going to be irrigating the fields, because that's how they live. So every day it was humid, but it was up to 130 degrees. So no matter where you went, you'd be sweating. And it lasted like that for a while, till about, I would say around October. That's when it started cooling down. But so our bodies weren't used to 90 degree, 80 degree weather. That was still cold for us because we're so used to this hot weather. So once it started cooling down to that, we're starting to wear a lot more warmer clothes, even though it's 90, 80 degrees outside. Wearing a full combat load, which consists of 60 to 70 pounds during the summer, though, was pretty tough. I mean, you'd have to drink a lot of water, at least 2 gallons a day, because you'd have to constantly eat, or else you just die out, burn out. Sleeping at night was close to 100 degrees. It was just humid. I don't know how it was like that, but it was. We had thermometers, and we were just amazed how hot it was.
Oh yeah, no, you said something about you guys would eat. What would you eat? Was you guys just eating MREs, or do you guys have actual cooked food, or?
Initially, it was first we were eating meals ready to eat, MREs, but then we got a little smarter, and like we got money sent to us, so we started buying chickens. We were able to buy rice, the rice they had out there, and the interpreters would teach us how to cook the way the Afghanis cook. So that's what we started eating, was like goat, cow, chicken, lamb, and we mix it, make kebabs with vegetables, corn, just about anything you can think of we ate. So.
What is your occupation, your area of operation over there?
My main occupation is I'm a mortarman, so basically we drop high explosives up to a few miles. But over there in Afghanistan, we were just basically riflemen walking on foot patrols, because mortars weren't really used over there, just due to casualties it may cause to civilians. So we were basically turned into riflemen, and that's what we did. Our area of operation over there was Darmshire District. It's in southern Helmand, about 40 to 60 miles away from the border of Pakistan. It's off the Helmand River. The area consisted of about 30 miles from an area that we covered. So that was the main area that we covered.
And did you guys have daily patrols, or?
Every day we pushed out. We did 2 patrols a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, just keeping security. If we did ever have contact, we would usually just, after we disengaged from the enemy or finished wherever we had got going, we would usually just come back to the patrol base and rest until the next day and push out again. It was always non-stop working, keeping the security of the area, because if we let up for a few days, the Taliban would be back. They know that we're letting up. We were always being watched by somebody.
Can you recall the feelings you felt while in battle? And following on to that question, do you experience a fear of losing your life? What about the relationship between you and your fellow infantry Marines? Were you guys close, and how close? Was it a brotherhood, or more just your co-workers?
The Marine Corps itself is the biggest fraternity in the world, if you didn't know that. Those guys are my brothers. I mean, I would have I would still take a bullet for any one of them. I always call them up, make sure they're okay. I wonder, we're in country, that's the only people you have. You don't have mom, you don't have dad, you don't have your girlfriend, your friends to go lean on. Those are the only guys you got. I mean, you go through so much experiences with them that the only way you can look at them as family, as brothers. I mean, sometimes you don't get along, but in what family don't you have your ups and downs? And we all looked at it after we got out in the Marine Corps. That's how we are. We're going to be brothers forever, no matter what. Whether you don't like that guy a whole lot, whether you don't agree with what he's doing, you're going to take care of him no matter what his decisions are in life. And that's how it is for me anyways.
Did people really have names for their rifles? Did
Yeah.
you, or if you did not, did your other friends have names?
Yeah,
for their rifles?
a lot of us did. It was more just a joke. Because I mean, that's the thing that what keeps you alive over there, right? When you're in a firefight. So mine actually was named Letitia.
Letitia.
My buddy, I have some funny ones. Like my buddy named is Abby. Yeah, some people do it, but just for fun.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal. You do have a special relationship with your rifle, but to the point of that you realize this is a tool of death and this is a tool of life. This is what's going to keep the guys next to you alive, and this is what's going to not necessarily kill the enemy. That's what it's going to do. And it's hard to take that in though about killing someone. It's something personal. I mean, you have that. You're controlling somebody's fate, and when you look back at it, it's a big deal. At the time, it's not that big because that's what you're doing for your country, your own life, your brothers. That's what you're doing it for. And no matter what you're doing it for, you realize, well, this is what I gotta do. But afterwards, you realize, man, that's some heavy stuff. Like, it's not saying that you're playing the role of God, but in a way you are. You're controlling somebody else's fate. I feel bad for the people, or I feel bad for people who haven't experienced the things I've experienced in my life.